MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is July, what day is it? July 18. There we go. It's July 18. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Hopefully everybody is doing well today. Welcome on in. Summer says happy Friday. Well, happy Friday back to you. Kyle, so excited. Thanks for joining us. Michelle, hello, hello. KDM Organic, Fool Journey, coming on in. Murphy, nice to see you. Top of the morning to you as well. Andrish, nice to see you. Matt, good morning. Scratchin was bopping along to the banger of a song. Eh? It's a fun one. It's a fun one. Should mix it up with some of the other songs every now and then, but I don't know. That one just, it's got some good energy going. Need a little energy. Had some technical difficulties get the stream started there, but it sorted them out. So hopefully all is well now. Chris, good morning to you as well. Tyler's coming on in. Salem, good morning. To Dave and fellow hunters, well, good morning to you as well. Eric, Lady Nutsy, serving up some coffee. I'll take a sip, lady. It's good, it's good. YX, how are you looking forward to the release of the Folklore Finale area? I'm looking forward to it. I certainly am looking forward to it. Trevor, good morning to you. Jason, Scratchin' Dude, also serving up a little coffee. I think I gotta take a second sip. Are those the rules? If I see a coffee emoji, I gotta take a sip. Hydrix, welcome on in. Millie joining us from Puerto Rico. Well, welcome on in. Hello from Canada. From the Toronto area, I guess, to be a bit more precise, as Canada's a little bit on the large side. Chris and Allison, hello. Matt, we should have a, oh dear, a Dave mouse. I don't want to be a mouse. I don't want to be caught. Have you seen some of these traps? I don't want to be a mouse in the game. I want to be a hunter. Chris, hello. Percy, Dallas, Bird, what do we have today? Well, that's as good of a segue as any. You know what we'll start with is an important reminder about Ronza. So Ronza is still visiting. Chrome bits have stopped dropping. So you can definitely take inventory, take stock of how many chrome bits you have amassed during her visit. Make sure to spend those before Tuesday, July 22. She will be leaving on that day. So you don't have the whole day Tuesday. That's the day she's leaving. So spend them before then. I may go as far to say spend them right now. You know, don't delay. Spend them today. Use them or lose them because they will expire after Ronza leaves. So it is important. Make sure you spend up all your chrome bits, the vouchers as well. You know, I was curious to see what everyone has been spending their vouchers and their chrome bits on. Toothlets are always a popular choice, especially if you have a little bit of spare change after picking up a couple other things. That's always something useful if you have the denture base. I think Drilling Door Blue has been a bit on the popular side as well. I think a few hunters strategized buying that and then selling it on the marketplace for a little bit of gold, especially if they needed some gold to be able to exchange or use their vouchers to buy a chrome upgrade kit. That was a pretty good way to go about doing it as well. I think that was a popular pick. No doubt the new tactical chrome upgrade as well. That was a popular use for vouchers. And then, you know, if you don't need any of the chrome upgrade kits, you know, what do you do with that extra voucher? Do you go for the crate of ultimate charms? That seems to be the most tempting secondary use for the voucher. Scorching joining us from Tokyo. Well, hello. It must be a little bit late there. I'm going to venture a guess it's midnight in Tokyo. Maybe even 1 a.m. I don't know. That's my guess. Sherry, first time back to Feedback Friday in years, but luck to see a new area. Well, welcome back. Hopefully you've been enjoying the game. Chris, you spent every single bit. You have 800 Fulmina Toothlets and a bunch of jet streams. Jet streams is a good one as well. If you're serious about the floating islands, if you do a lot of mapping, it's a pretty good way to kind of speed run your way to Paragons, that's for sure. Well, I missed the rest of the comment, Matt, saying you're invincible to all traps except, oh dear, the calendar trap. That is my arch nemesis, yeah, dates and times. For some reason, just scrolling through a calendar confuses me. Andrew, she spent all the bits and vouchers, was nice. Getting some kits as well. You go, Aramis has a mix of Dur Blue for gold. And some compressed jet streams to help out friends with floating island maps. They are handy for maps. You know, you're going to be doing a few maps, you pop a jet stream, and away you go. YX, how likely is Ronza to appear twice in 1 year? I mean, never say never. I don't know. We'll have to ask her See, she seems to just visit once a year, but we'll see. Lady Nutsy hasn't spent yours yet. You know, sometimes that's a sign too, when you haven't spent them right away, that you hum and haw a little bit. You're not quite sure what to spend them on, especially if you've been playing for a while. Ronza's visited a number of times. You know, you probably have picked up quite a few of the things. You have a pretty good stash of some of the things you can get with Chrome Bits, so it's understandable. I think that's maybe a contributing factor to waiting to the last minute, is you're just not sure. Nothing super compelling or jumping off the page. And you know, it's been interesting as well. A little bit of feedback we've noted throughout the years is Ronza's definitely, as an event, maybe something that's a little bit more exciting to lower, mid-game, even early end-game type players. You know, it's just a tough thing kind of as the game goes on, and there's so many other rewarding things to go and explore throughout the game. It's hard to compete with just merchant visiting the game, selling things relatively straightforward for a couple weeks. So it's been interesting to watch that evolution over time, but you know, it's something we jotted down. Maybe we can add a little extra spice, some sort of resource. I don't know, brainstorm a little bit, see what she can bring around next time. I doubt it'll ever be as nostalgic as the days many years ago, where she would bring an absolute best of power type trap. It's kind of hard to sell a trap purely for gold at that level. So the upgrade kits were a nicer evolution of that, but you know, maybe you can kind of think about what else could she bring that's fresh and new. Even if you are an endgame player, that might be something good to look for suggestions on whenever she may visit next, and who knows when that may be. Scorching Falcon, you spent all your bits on the jet stream. That seems to be a popular pick. Kevin as well, picking up those jet streams. Felt appropriate. She seems to know how to navigate windy conditions, that she would have some compressed jet streams. Chris, she did appear twice, but that was about 14-15 years ago. Yeah, you know, fair enough. Maybe she needs to try that again. I think she may have recalled some mixed feedback on coming twice in 1 year. Just felt a little less special. That second visit didn't quite feel as special as the first. Alex picked up 26 compressed jet streams. That is quite a few. Nick, you've been playing since 2010. Oh, yeah, and then you started back up about a year ago again. Well, hey, welcome back. Glad you've been enjoying the game. Ron, will you add a hunt counter tracker for the depths? It would be nice to keep track of it, especially when doing elemental dragon hunting. Maybe you could shed some light on, you know, what do you think is important about knowing how many hunts you've taken in a cavern? Because kind of once you fully explore it, nothing really particularly changes, and in some ways it's not always advantageous to stay in there too long. You know, in some ways the risk factor is increasing the longer you stay in a cavern. Depending on how you like to manage your resources, you might paint yourself into a corner where you have to keep a cart you're planning on burning, and then you almost kind of resets the whole cadence of your resources. So you gotta be a little careful. We're a little nervous to add a counter there, because it may encourage you to spend a long time in the cavern when that's not always the best choice either. Garmus still enjoys getting chrome traps or late game. That is pretty nice. Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of the main thing. If you're right at the cutting edge of hunting technology, you have all the best power type traps out there, then you know the chrome kits are probably going to be the most exciting part. Yeah, Matt, you found she used to be nearly game breaking back in 2008, but now it's more of a novelty. Yeah, I think it goes through different seasons depending on what your goals are, what equipment you have. Certainly earlier on in the game, mid-game, I think there's a lot more impactful things as well. So, you know, maybe she's just shifted a little bit of her target customer base as a merchant. Maybe has shifted a little bit to be a slightly different type of hunter is all. Alex, you're liking the new art for the chrome boulder? That turned out pretty well. Chrome traps are always pretty cool to look at. Trying to think which one I might like the best. I mean, the temporal turbine has always been a pretty epic looking trap. That one looks pretty slick. Fool, maybe for next year she can find a shadow trap so we don't die in the labyrinth trying to get shadow flights, eh? To start the floating islands. Well, you've got the temporal turbine. That is kind of what you're meant to be navigating your way through the labyrinth with. So, you know, if you can And you can definitely double back maybe some of those stretch goals, those above and beyond stretch goals that you have in the Labyrinth. You can come back with a better shadow trap a little bit later. It's always a viable strategy as well. Peter, any thoughts on creating another avenue to get the jet streams, or maybe outside the Ronza, the Great Winter Hunt, maybe in the King's Cart? We thought about it a little bit. I don't know if the King's Cart would be a great fit, but we thought a little bit about maybe somewhere in the floating islands, a way to obtain jet streams. So, you know, we'll see. That said, it seems like this is a pretty good injection of jet stream. You don't need too many of them, and sometimes it's nice when rewards come from very distinct, memorable places. It helps make those events something exciting and special and unique. Whereas if every event all has kind of the same types of rewards, then everything all kind of blends together. Nothing feels as exciting. There's less fun feelings of anticipation, you know, looking forward to a certain event or a certain thing with a time of year, something like that as well. And, you know, anticipation's an awfully fun emotion to feel, you know, waiting for Christmas morning or your birthday or a holiday or anything. I'm sure many people can draw upon fun times. They've savored the feeling of anticipation. Summer is excited for new areas, the Afterword Acres, and the other that she can't remember the name. Well, that's maybe a good segue into something else. From a reminder that Ronza is leaving soon. And to spend your Chrome bits into, well, what's coming after Ronza? And it's a farm to table loot event, which has run in the past as well. But if it's your first time playing a farm to table loot event, it takes place in the first 3 areas of the Folklore Forest, which is the farm, the pond, and the table of contents. And it's fairly straightforward, being it's a double loot event. So in the farm, you're going to get double seeds, double mulch, double papyrus, and double crop coins. If you're in the pond, you can expect to find double grubs, double clams, double ink, and double pond pennies. If you are in the table of contents, any Nobel prizes you find as loot drops, those are doubled. But in addition to that, any Nobel prizes you're rewarded for publishing, those also get doubled. So the reward that you get for publishing at the table of contents, because that's where the vast majority of your Nobel prizes come from, is from publishing. And then something new being added to the farm to table loot event, kilohertz processors that are dropped by the M1000 mouse. You can expect those to double now as well. As well as a brand new item that's going to be added to the table of contents permanently. It'll stick around. It's not necessarily part of the farm to table loot event, although you will get double drops of it during the event. And that's a brand new item, Rainbow Nibs. And Rainbow Nibs are a new item you're going to be able to use to unlock a Rainbow Quill, which you can imagine that's right in line with the silver and the gold quill, and upgrade it at the table of contents. You're going to unlock that using nibs, maybe some other resources as well on top of nibs. The nibs will only drop if you already have unlocked the silver and the gold quill. So that's maybe some important goal to set for yourself if you haven't already. Ahead of this farm to table loot event, you're going to want to unlock the silver and the gold quill to be able to loot the nibs and be working on unlocking the rainbow quill. And that rainbow quill, as you'd expect, it's going to give you more words per catch, just like the other quills. It's going to give you an additional 75% more words per catch, and that is, it's a tricky word to say, multiplicative. Nope, can't say it. It's too hard for me. So they all stack on top of one another. So that's quite a few words you can be able to write at the table of contents. But in addition, you can think of the farm to table a little bit of a fun way to bring in the part 1 of the Folklore Forest Finale, in that it will have a special effect in both of the new areas that are just around the corner from the farm to table loot event, which I forget if I even mentioned at the start. It starts Tuesday, August 19. So that's pretty much 1 month from today. The farm to table loot event will start, and it will serve as a fun way to introduce the Folklore Forest Finale as well. Scratch and Do's looking forward to a new quill. Our kilohertz processor is new, so they are already in the game, but last time we ran a farm to table loot event, they did not double. I think they didn't exist the last time we ran a farm to table loot event. So the fact that they're doubling, that's something new to the farm to table loot event, not that the item's new. Scorch and Falcon is just about ready to head on over there soon. I'm set up at the farm myself as well, even just kind of refreshing my mind a little bit on how everything works there. You know, get practiced a little bit, get back in that mentality. Maybe it's been a while since you've hunted there. It takes a little bit of time to recall, what all the loot items are. Where do you go? Which trap? What setup do I like to use? Which charm do I like to have armed? It takes a little bit to get back into the swing of things. Chris, you forgot about the farm to table. You just unlocked Golden Quill not too long ago. Looks like you are all set to start working on the Rainbow Quill next. Scratching Dude saying better stock up on table of content supplies then. That is maybe a good goal to set for yourself, is getting a pretty good stash of everything you need to hunt at the table of contents. That said, everything else as well, farm to tables, all 3 areas. So no matter what your goal is in those 3 areas, there should be something interesting to pursue. And certainly the Rainbow Quill being brand new, well, hey, that's a good goal that everybody's going to be having on their mind, I'm sure. Kevin, August 19 is still so long. Weren't we just talking about how fun the emotion of anticipation is? Look, maybe we can put things in a positive light there. A little bit of the game is definitely one that teaches you patience, and with patience, the better part of that is feeling the fun of anticipation. Double Draft Derby Curd. I believe the curd doubles as well. Maybe Norm can shed some light on that. I'm pretty sure the curd drops are double as well. Maybe that got left off the list while we're typing this up. YX asking, will the farm to table event be part of the pre-release event for the Folklore Finale map? Yes, and now we'll get to that. The map piece is going to become available when the farm to table loot event begins, and it's going to be added in the exact same way hunters are going to obtain that map from here to eternity, I guess. So we'll touch base on that in just a little bit as well. But, that should be relatively straightforward. You might have a couple goals in the Draconic Depths to seek out and loot some opals to pick up the map piece. Anders, does the Rainbow Quill have an effect in the Bountiful Beanstalk? And no, just the Golden Quill does. The Rainbow will have an effect in the 2 new areas as well, which we can talk a little bit more about those as well. Taylor asking, how long will the event last? That is a good segue here. So the Farm to Table loot event is going to start on Tuesday, August 19. And it celebrates the launch of Folklore Finale Part 1, which means it's going to end when the Folklore Forest Finale launches, which is on Tuesday, September 2nd. And watch out, because now I'm using a calendar here, but I think that means it runs for 2 weeks here. We're going back to my great weakness of dates and reading calendars, apparently. So the Folklore Finale will launch on September 2nd. Ahead of that, the Farm to Table loot event will start and be a good opportunity to get the Rainbow Quill ahead of the area being released. But as well, with the Farm to Table loot event, we're going to add the new map piece to the Draconic Depths. You're going to be able to buy it from the cartographer there. It's going to cost Dragon Breath's opals. So, a fairly modest amount, or a reasonable amount of opals will be used to purchase the map piece. So that should be fairly straightforward. We'll make that available as part of the Farm to Table loot event, so you can use it as a way of making sure you have everything you need before you start exploring the finale on September 2nd. You can get the map piece, you can pick up the Rainbow Quill, you can equip yourself with maybe some kilohertz processors as well. That's a good time to stock up on those if you're looking to boost your catch rate a little bit. And the finale, part 1, if you haven't joined other Feedback Fridays, we're planning to kind of close out the region in a 2-part release. This first part is 2 areas, a tactical and a hydro area called the Afterword Acres and the Epilogue Falls. And then similar to other releases, we're going to kind of end things off with a part 2 release. And that's nothing new to the game. Even as far back, think about the Laboratory and the Mausoleum. The Laboratory was released separately from the Mausoleum. But then once they're both in the game, they do work together, right? The lab's a place where you collect radioactive blue cheese to then go use in the Mausoleum to hunt the zombies and everything there. And even way back then, it was mostly about collecting a lot of gold, because those were some of the most valuable mice in the game at the time. So you can imagine with part 1 and part 2, something similar. Some of the resources that you collect in these areas are going to help you then in the part 2, very much like that lab and Mausoleum kind of relationship. Or Fungal Cavern, and then the Labyrinth and Zokor. Those were released separately, but Glowing Gruyere played a role in both of those. I mean, for that For that matter as well, MouseHunters also kind of used glowing gruyere a little bit. So, just kind of a bit of a loose connection between areas, even though they're not released all at once. Kind of a similar thing going on there. The Afterword Acres is overrun by toxic blight. You're going to have to call upon your handy droids, which are handy in so many locations, to take command of 3 of those droids, fight the blight, and harvest and carve poetic planks. So in the magical, ever-replenishing forest, you're going to be able to get in some of these poetic planks to be able to construct some barrels and then travel over the Epilogue Falls and fight the currents there and try to make it all the way to the waterfall, collecting some loot. You're going to be able to use different barrels, maybe some different cheese, different items, different strategies to target what type of resource you're looking to collect from the falls as well. And as you can imagine, on your first visit there, you're not going to make it all the way there. It would probably be very unlikely. But every journey that you take down towards the waterfall is going to help you loot items to make yourself a little bit more powerful for your next run and get a little bit further the next time. Have to manage those resources to see how far you can make it and eventually make it all the way to the waterfall itself. Ricky's almost finished upgrading to the gold quill. You think a lot more farm you'll need before moving on to the next area. And you definitely go at your own pace. That's good. You almost have the gold quill. The farm to table loot event's going to be a good time to work on even more upgrades. Just pretty well everything in those first 3 areas. And you get double loot drop of at least all the important resources. Kevin, the Rainbow Quill adds words and requires rainbow nibs. What part of that ink bottle picture beside the nib? That might be something left to explore as well. But I'm just going to imagine if you're collecting something that you use to unlock a one-time upgrade, and then you can continue to get that resource afterwards, it's always nice to have a consumable use for that, something that you can pick up that you don't necessarily just need one of. So there's always something to spend the extra resource on. Chris, will you be able to loot extra prolific printing paper during the farm to table loot event? I don't think there's any way to loot the paper directly, but you do purchase it from the shop using items that you do loot. And I believe Nobel prizes are one of those items that you can spend to buy prolific printing paper. So certainly if you're stockpiling your Nobel prizes, then you could be using that to purchase prolific printing paper. It's a good opportunity to get all set for part 1. Whether you want printing paper, whether you want kilohertz processors, definitely want to make sure you get the map. Try to pick up the Rainbow Quill. You can be stockpiling some supplies to get ready to explore the acres and the falls. Super, any potential thematic ties with the toxic spill and pollutinum? I don't believe so. The Draconic Depths had a little bit of a tie-in to kind of celebrate where some of these draconic mice were coming, I guess not coming to the depths, but where they originated from. And you can explore a few mouse descriptions here and there to maybe try to paint together a little bit of a picture of just what the Draconic Depths is all about. Scratch and do some new codices. There will be some new codices and new traps to earn as well. I think I got rid of that, but there are quite a number of mice across these 2 areas as well. Eileen, welcome on in. Better late than never. Falcon, yes, you can expect with any big area, there's usually at least one new trap to be discovered. Sri, do we expect the Mythweaver variant in these areas, or is that saved for part 2? That is a fantastic question. I think we'll have to wait and see. Sri, who knows what the Mythweaver's up to? Mythweaver has taken on many, many forms, but maybe we don't have quite enough reconnaissance yet to know exactly what awaits us at the end of that river, or as we get closer to that waterfall. What could be lurking around the falls? Camel, will the M1K mouse drop the nibs? No, only the Mythweaver. So that's an important thing to point out as well. When you're thinking about, well, how can I equip myself? How can I prepare a little bit ahead of the farm to table loot event? It's often fun to get prepared for something. Those rainbow nibs, wherever it is, it's hard to point to, can only be looted from the Mythweaver. And remember too that you're going to need both the silver and the gold quill for those nibs to drop. If you don't own them, you can't find them. You just can't see them. You're just not, not ready to write that into existence. So you do need to have the silver and the gold quill unlocked, and then the Mythweaver, and the Mythweaver alone will drop them as loot. Peter, can you share how many new mice in the area? I forget off the top of my head. Norm may know. And that just goes to show how good my memory is, because I'm pretty sure I had it right here from a previous Feedback Friday, and I typed over it to type this out. Quite a few, though. More than 2 dozen. I feel confident in my memory that there's more than 2 dozen mice. And Ron, no, the Rainbow Quill will not have any effects in the Bountiful Beanstalk. That's just the Gold Quill. The Gold Quill has an effect. Will the Dragon Opal base have an advantage in the new area? That's another thing that might need a little bit more reconnaissance done to figure out. It does seem like it's an awfully useful line of bases, but you might look back at how that base works to kind of see if you can theorize whether or not that might be true. Norm, shall I reveal the actual number of mice? Certainly. I already did on the last Feedback Friday. We could go watch the old one. I'm sure Norm knows off the top of his head. YX, can we expect an item as rare as the mythical dragon heart in the finale? No, certainly not. That is just, it's definitely not everybody's cup of tea. And, you can expect that type of thing to be maybe a twice a decade type resource. It was 5 years between the rib and the heart. And it seems to be something that is tied in a little bit with draconic mice. They tend to be keepers of exceptionally rare loot. But as I've been saying, it's one of the nice things about the game is every area is a little bit different. There's tends to be different types of hunters. Some players like kind of a slow and steady progression. Some players like rare loot drops. Some players like a mix of something in between. And we use each area to mix it up and have each area maybe just lean toward appealing to that type of player, and then the next one appeal to a different. So no, certainly no jackpot loot drops in the Acres or the Falls. Probably be a number of years before you can expect that again. There you go, Norm. There are 30 new mice in total, 15 in each area. Nice even split too. That's fun. Will CC double the rainbow nibs as well? I don't know. We may have to wait and see. Anders, the only purpose of the Acres is to get planks to use in the Falls. I guess that's fair enough. That sounds a little less than enthusiastic about the Acres. But no, that aside, like many other areas, right? There's a hierarchy to things. Definitely, you'll want to start in the Acres because without those planks, you can't make a barrel, and you're not going to make it very far. Doing some sea exploration without a vessel, without a buoyant vessel to explore within. So, you can think of it a little bit like, what's a good example? And we can go all the way back to the lab in the mausoleum, right? You kind of collect radioactive blue cheese in the mausoleum to then take to the lab, and you don't have a whole lot of success unless you start out in the lab first to equip yourself. Queso Canyon, you have to get some bland queso. Before you can make spicier varieties of cheese to branch out to the other locations. You can't really have too much success at the geyser until you've visited the areas that come before it. What's on the horizon after the Folklore Forest Finale? We're already looking that far ahead. Now, as you can see, as we mentioned in the past, it'll be a 2-part release. So you have part 1, and you have part 2 would probably make sense be the next thing that you can expect after part 1. But Mo Pico, I'm kind of quiet. I seem to be okay, at least in the mixer. Seems to be peaking okay. Maybe you can check your volume settings there. Sometimes your devices, you may have more than one volume setting to check, but seems like everything's okay on my end. Yeah, Michelle, your sound's fine, eh? Well, there's a bit of a sample of what to expect with part one, tactical and hydro. So it's definitely a fun thing to prepare. If you don't have everything you need to take on a new tactical and hydro area, maybe some goals to set for yourself. And, Ronza's still around as well. Farm to table loot event. You can kind of think of it as a little bit of a pre-release event, a way to celebrate the arrival of Folklore Finale Part 1. The Rainbow Quill having a special effect in both those new areas. That'll be a fun goal to pursue during the farm to table loot event, as well as in general as well. Maybe you just became Archduke, Archduchess. You're looking to start the Folklore Forest region as well. Farm to table loot event is definitely a nice bonus to kind of get a little bit of a head start on that region as well. You can expect the kilohertz processors, they will double, as well as those rainbow nibs. Also very important to keep in mind when things start, it seems like it might be an easy thing to forget about, is that the silver and the gold quill are required to be able to find those rainbow nibs. So if you haven't already, if you're looking to collect rainbow nibs during the farm to table loot event, you definitely want to go and unlock that silver and the gold quill. Otherwise you will not be able to loot the rainbow nibs. And with that, we should touch on the trivia question. Let's see if I hit the answer today. I did, all right. And it's a little bit about the table of contents and has something to do with quills also, because quills allow you to write more words when you capture a mouse in the table of contents. And at least as of right now, what is the most words you can currently write in a single hunt at the table of contents? I think Andros got the correct answer pretty darn quick there. Honorable mention to Taylor as well. And yeah, Hollow even saying it's the M1000 mouse that lets you write that many words. And that is certainly correct. It is 4,000 words you can write in a single hunt. And that's if you catch the M1000, you've got your condensed creativity burning away, ignited. You've got the silver and the gold quill, because they do stack on top of one another. You get the benefit of both quills at the same time. I'll put the reward in the chat as well here to click a little easier. And it's a good reminder, the Rainbow Quill is going to add 75% more words. So this 4,000 will no longer be the most you can write in a single hunt. It'll be quite a bit more than that. There you go. I got the link in the chat as well, so you can click it more easily. I think my math works out. Normal quickly correct me, I'm sure. I think it might be 7,000 might be the new most words in a single hunt you'll be able to write when you have all 3 quills unlocked. Look at that, I can sound my horn. A loathsome locust mouse, I'll take it. All right, yeah, it must be about a half hour in. I'm losing my ability to speak. Yeah, that's about a half hour, is maybe about my limit. Andrew, what's the reason for the physical codices and the draconic depths? I don't know. What's wrong with the physical codices there? I mean, there's not necessarily any hard or fast rule where you might unlock certain power type codices. Definitely, there's a good variety of power type codices you can unlock in the Folklore Forest region. It's going to kind of slowly build up a good collection that includes most of the power types. There we go, Norm, 7,000 is correct. All right. I can remember numbers. I'm always nervous. YX, it is 25 rainbow charms to keep things rainbow themed as well. They do come in handy. You can upgrade those rainbow charms into rainbow spore charms. That's a mighty powerful charm as well to have handy. Yeah, as an extension, writing more words will mean you can get more Nobel prizes. You can get more of the processors as well. You'll be able to even push the limits of what volume of encyclopedia you're going to be able to write. KDM, can we get a hunt counter in the replica card? Somebody asked about that a little bit earlier as well, and kind of, at least for the moment, we don't really think it's a good idea, but we always keep an open mind to to things, but you know, there's not really much advantage to knowing how many hunts you've logged in there. If anything, it might be, I mean, I guess it could be a signal that the risk is getting quite high, but usually the feedback there is more about, well, how low are you getting on cheese, and what's the rest of your resources looking like? Are you almost out of Emmental cheese, and are you completely out of embers? Well, then you are entering the risk territory of, depending on what loot drops you get before the run comes to an end, you may end up keeping a cart you're meaning to burn. So do we have a hunt restriction, or can we go full passive mode like in older areas? Yeah, we'll share a little bit more details. We'll probably take a look at the HUDs when the release comes a little bit sooner, but it's, you know, a nice mix of passive and active. Even to a degree, you can take different styles. I think if you want to be very passive, there's setups where you know, okay, I just need to check in maybe once a day, and if you want to be extremely active, well, you know, you could check in every 15 minutes really if you wanted to, and it's a nice blend of everything in between. You know, that, like a lot of areas, you can't leave it for weeks and weeks on end or anything like that. On that note, hunters, I think we'll wrap up Feedback Friday for the week. A quick little recap again, if you're just joining us. Important reminder, Ronza's leaving Tuesday, July 22nd. She leaves on Tuesday. You don't have the whole day Tuesday, so please spend those Chrome bits, spend your vouchers. They will expire after she leaves. Ronza takes flight if you're looking for something to work on next, depending on what other goals you might be pursuing. You know, if you're looking and wondering what could we be doing next, on Tuesday, August 19th, the Farm to Table Loot event will start as a kind of pre-release celebration for part 1 of the Folklore Forest Finale as well. So making sure you've got the silver and the gold quill unlocked. That'll be a pretty good goal to set for yourself, as well as just stockpiling maybe some table of contents supply as well. Depending on your goals there, might not always be a good idea, but the table of contents is an awfully good place to be hunting during a Farm to Table Loot event. So, you know, if you're completely out of Draft Derby, well, you might want to just pick up a few extra pieces before the event starts. Thanks so much for joining me, hunters. I'll likely be Jacob joining you next week, so I'll see you in a couple weeks. Have a fantastic weekend and happy hunting.
2. You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back, you don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back, you don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. Just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe.